the news we have all been waiting for. Dustin Wolf has inked a 2-year extension with the Calgary Flames.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for tuning in. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sport stops sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today, we are going to be breaking down the Dustin Wolf extension, what this means for the immediate future with the season ahead of us, with seemingly the Flames going with a Dan Vladar and Dustin Wolf tandem, and what might the future look like, just kind of my overall thoughts, right? Because this is a great day. This is fantastic. Before we dive into that, though, please make sure you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you're getting your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. So, like I mentioned at the start of the show, this is a 2-year contract extension. It is a 2-way deal the first year, which basically just means he will get paid a certain amount of money, $850,000, in the NHL. And if he plays in the AHL, he will be making, I believe it's $320,000. So big difference there, right? Like there's the incentive to work hard and, hope to not get sent down. And then your second year is that 1-way NHL deal, which basically just means you are making that $850,000. 2-way deals does not have anything to do with waiver exemption or anything like that. It is simply about the cash money. So, there's that. I do not ever see the Flames placing Dustin Wolf on waivers. That would be incredibly risky and kind of stupid to do, in my opinion. But there really wasn't any doubt of this deal not getting done. Like, it was obvious. And we talked a little bit about it yesterday. Like, what kind of deal did you want? Did you want to do the longer term, or did you want to do a bridge deal? What were you hoping for? And this is, it's nice to have this crossed off and checked off your to-do list, because it's really the biggest thing that the Flames had left. They tackled the draft. They did what they did in free agency, and they still have a lot of cap space to play with and still have other RFAs they need to sign or should sign. I think that this is a good deal. It is excellent because, he's 23, so this puts him at 25, 26, and then you go into, you get that, and then obviously you get the next deal. You get that next contract to look at. It gives him an opportunity to prove himself as well. He's only had 17 games. That is not a realistic sample size. It is not something that you can look at and say, this is absolutely something that is going to work out, that is destined to fail. Like, you can't get a true read on it. And even if you could, I don't necessarily think that you can be correct. I think that there is so much uncertainty with goaltending, as we have seen, as we saw with Jacob Markstrom, as we have seen across the league. You never know what goaltender is going to show up, because you might get Mike Smith, who looks like he's 40 years old and beat down into the ground, or you might get like Vezina caliber Mike Smith when he was playing. But this is great. You're not putting all of your eggs in one basket, which was a potential concern because you don't know what Dustin Wolf is going to be, and he doesn't know what this team is going to be. So again, eggs not all in one basket. They are sprinkled around. I like that this, gives him the opportunity to start this season, get comfortable, and really start making that push towards being an NHL level goaltender. He has blown everyone away. He went in the 6th round because he is quote unquote undersized. So he, not being 6'4" and 210 pounds, like that is seen as a disadvantage, but it has been quite the opposite for Wolf. He has just this special set of skills that you wish most goaltenders had. I think that this is just going to be a great opportunity for him to finally make that jump and prove that he is capable, regardless of how tall or how short he is, whatever his height may be. I think that this is great. This is another step forward in the Flames' journey to being Stanley Cup champions. A baby step, but it is a step. I'm looking forward to just watching him and develop and blossom into that NHL goaltender, because you could definitely already see the changes and the growth from the end of 2 seasons ago versus, or even like his first few starts of the year with the Flames, and then who he became by the end of it. I think that he has, a tall task ahead of him. It is not going to be easy for him simply because there is an expectation. And I have every belief in my heart, in my brain, that Dustin Wolf will figure this out and become an NHL caliber goaltender. And it's going to be nice for the Flames. Coming up next, we're going to take a look at the Flames goaltending tandem that they are running into the season with Dan Vladar and Dustin Wolf. And we will be right back after this break, because we are talking about FanDuel. I love sports, and I know you love sports as well. We never want them to stop, but as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But FanDuel lets us keep the sports going whenever we want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I am in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a Boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head on over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you're getting your podcasts, as well as YouTube. Locked On Flames is here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your team every day. As of right now, the Flames are running with Dan Vladar and Dustin Wolf. Dan Vladar is coming off of significant hip surgery, which he is still on track to make he's on time to return for the start of the season, which is always good. And Vladar has played 75 career games, 5 with the Bruins and 70 with the Flames. And he has a save percentage of 893 and a goals against average of 3.08. Now, those are just like basic stats. Those don't include goals saved above expected, and all those fun, in-depth, advanced analytics. I think that, Dan Vladar has not exactly had the luckiest career. His NHL debut came in a game where the Bruins were it was a bubble playoff game, and the Bruins were getting shelled like 6-0, and he came in and it just got worse. So, that didn't really start things off on the right foot. But he had a 906 save percentage in the 2021-2022 season, which is an outlier for all Flames players, pretty much, if you were on that roster. But he definitely is, an 880, 890 goaltender. You're not going to get good, solid, consistent, Jacob Markstrom goaltending out of him. So it helps having him as a veteran goaltender in this locker room to help Wolf, and for Wolf to be able to step up. Part of me really thinks this is going to be in every other situation, just because there is no clear answer here. Because Dan Vladar, like we mentioned, coming off of hip surgery. Dustin Wolf, first full season likely in the NHL. I think that's fine. I would like for there to be some sort of clarity with that, just because, everyone is going to have an opinion regardless. But I do also wonder if they predominantly start Wolf, I don't know, and sprinkle Vladar in, or vice versa, because either, like, any of these possibilities are realistic. And I don't know if there's a right or a wrong answer, because I can, like, rationalize all of them. Vladar has a seniority and has kind of proved himself at the NHL level and shows you what he's given you. But even then, Dustin Wolf needs the opportunity to prove himself, because what happens if you're not getting the best goaltending situation just because you're going with the veteran? So whatever way you slice it feels like a good answer, in my opinion. Sometimes you really do just need average goaltending. It doesn't have to be anything ridiculous. You don't have to be a Connor Hellebuck. Like, there's no way. There is a way that happens, that you get that kind of performance. But I find it very unlikely, and I find it more likely that Wolf and Vladar give you average and around average goaltending, whether that be slightly below or slightly above. Like, there's a reason why it's average. The bar is not high. There is a bar. There are expectations. But this isn't a situation where, Dustin Wolf needs to go out and, like, be in the Vezina finalist conversation. That I personally don't think that that's realistic. The biggest thing you want to do is just integrate him into your games, into your roster, into your locker room. He's had a taste of what the NHL life is like, and the kind of work ethic you need versus, flying commercial, flying private, the dietary changes. We talked about this yesterday with Matt Coronado. Like, there are certain aspects of your lifestyle that you have to tweak. And that, again, that comes with time. I think Dustin Wolf is someone that, if he could, he would spend every waking moment in the crease training in some way. He's definitely a player that I hate. He has, like, that underdog mentality, but it's deserved because he was playing out of his mind before he was drafted. And players, there was a reason why he was able to be drafted. You don't just play high school and show up to the draft. Like, he played in several developmental leagues and worked his way up. California native. His size is used as a disadvantage. He had, a couple bad appearances last year, and everyone's like, well, maybe he was too small. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe. And then all of a sudden he goes on like a little streak. It was 4 or 5 games in a row. Oh, Dustin Wolf, he don't listen to the haters, who said anything about being undersized? And it's like, what side of the coin are you, like, what hill are you dying on here? But I think that this is a fine tandem. Every team is going to go through spurts where you have a, like, baby veteran goaltender who is a backup for most of that time, and then you have a rookie. I do feel like we don't know a lot about Vladar because I feel like he plays, like, his cards close to his chest, and, like, he's not overly active on social media. Like, we don't get player profiles on him and his wife. Like, we don't get that. So maybe with these two, we start to see more of a personality. We start to see a different side of both players in the for the benefit here. But I do hope that they're able to get the goaltending I don't want to say under control. I hope that the goaltending is watchable. I think that that's, like, the main goal of this season, is just watchable hockey. It's not fun to watch your goaltender get shelled every single night. Ask Sharks fans. And you need to also set your young goalie up for success. So I do think that the moves on the back end definitely make me feel a little bit more secure than where things left off at the end or middle of April. So we will have that. And hopefully, Dan Vladar is able to offer some stability there as well. But coming up next, we are going to wrap up the show with my overall feelings and what might this future look like for the Calgary Flames. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames, and thank you so much for making Locked On Flames part of your day. I appreciate it, and if you're an everyday listener, thank you so much, and I hope you are sharing the show with your friends. This extension, obviously, was one of the few remaining off-season priorities. Like I mentioned before, they tackled the draft. They tackled free agency, tackled some trades, and they end up, they needed to get this done. Wolf was an RFA, could have been offer sheeted at any given moment. Wasn't going to happen, but it could have. And it's done and out of the way. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it. You have this guy for the next 2 years. And what you choose to do with his talent, with his skill level, with the team around him, is like, the ball is fully in your court here. And I think the Flames really do have to commit to this one way or another, because, you have one message coming out that, yeah, the Flames, like, we're still a competitive team from one person, and then another person is saying, like, it's okay for us to take, like, a few steps back and to really reevaluate the situation and acquire draft capital and trade our starting goaltender, which doesn't signify like you're still competitive. For those of you at home wondering, but this again gives the Flames a cushion. They have time to figure it out. They have time to continue to build around, to scout, to develop this goaltender into an NHL caliber goaltender. We know that goalies kind of are like late bloomers in terms of development, but I feel like Dustin Wolf has absolutely proved it at every other level that he is capable of being a competitive goaltender. I mean, you don't win AHL goaltender of the year back-to-back years uh without some sort of skill level. So, I mean, there's something there. He has proved himself up until this point. Now he is stepping into the main stage, and he had a little bit a little taste of it. Words are hard. Um, Last year, and this it was under a coach that allowed players to have that little bit of wiggle room, that little bit of breathing room, and make mistakes. I think that one of the biggest blessing in disguises for Dustin Wolf is not having to play for Daryl Sutter last year. And we could talk about that all you want, because I know people are still like, well, anyways, for Dustin Wolf to have a successful year, it's not just going to be on him. Believe it or not, this is a team effort, but I do think you're going to need some sort of miracle to pull out a truly competitive team. Like, I'm talking like, I'm trying to think, like, not Dallas, because that's an unfair comparison, but like a team like the Hurricanes, or like they're just not up at that upper echelon level yet, and that's what they're building towards. So again, you have to have reasonable expectations for Dustin Wolf. Expecting him to come in and have like 6 shutouts, a save percentage above like 910. Who are you kidding? You are kidding yourself if you think that anything like that is going to happen. When we talk about this next summer, maybe we are looking at different benchmarks to mark him as, or to evaluate him by. This year, I really think it's about getting him comfortable with multiple starts a week, with the players that are in front of him, and having him ride out those tough situations. Because what are you teaching anyone by pulling them from a situation where they're not doing well and you don't give them a little wiggle room? Yeah, at some points it's probably like, enough already, he's dead, like, let's get him out of there. But sometimes you really just need to take your medicine. You have to take those lumps, and again, that's part of part of being a professional athlete, and really any part of life, to take those next steps and to get to that next level of greatness. I'm hopeful for Dustin Wolf's career as a whole. I think that it's going to be awesome to continue to watch him play for the Flames and hopefully cement himself as a fixture in this organization. There is a lot of hype and expectation to live up to, but we will monitor that. That is an ongoing situation. You're not going to get a miracle overnight. And I hope everyone else remembers that as well. But that will do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll be back tomorrow talking more about this Dustin Wolf extension because there is so much more to dive into. We have just scratched the surface. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. And until tomorrow, stay safe, stay warm, stay dry, stay cool, be kind, and remember, life is short.